not. You know me, I don't want to be pretentious about it, and if nobody goes to this, you know, I thought I had themes in Willard and no one goes, and you just feel embarrassed and stupid. I think a slasher movie is really a modern monster movie, but the difference between the Val Lewton movies compared to I Was a Teenage Werewolf, which is just exploitation. You know, I wanted real characters and to deal with some of the family thematics or elements.
She's my family now.
Call the police.
Hang on. Lower your glass. And I like the horror movies where I think it might happen, or it's a situation I know.
Call the police. Please, the police ain't gonna do shit about one whacked-out phone call.
So I'm trying to shoot for something a little more. I don't know if I'll achieve it, but that's why I don't think it is.
Can we help you?
You know, making movies, so much of it involves a hype that Glenn is not comfortable with.
I'm Claire's sister. Where is she?
When the publicity guy comes after him and tries to get him to do an interview, he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to be made to say great things about himself. That's Glenn's personality, and I think that makes him an interesting focus.
Tell me a little bit about after Willard.
It was not good. Hey, you want to sell tickets to this, right? I was depressed for like 3 months. I was really fucked up. I was really bummed. Yeah. Okay, ready? And action.
What are you doing? What is that thing?
Sure, it would have been a lot easier if Willard was a big hit. Everything's easier with a hit. But I'm proud of that movie. It was quiet and it was creepy, but it wasn't scary in a sense that, you know, the audience is not going to jump out of their chair. There wasn't that visceral reaction to things that happened on screen. Well, there's just too much blood. I'm all for blood, but when there's too much, it just looks not real. So
You have to do it right by the standards of the masses to a certain degree. That you've got to get it right for them. And sometimes that's not as interesting. But I think that he wants people to come to his movies. I think he wants the shot to be able to do it again. And in order to do that, you have to make money. That's just the way the business is.
it's not a dubious anyway.
How do you mean by dubious?
Just that it's hard to imagine this ice thing going through the back of her cranium. But maybe she has a little soft spot that she didn't know before. And this could be like the injury she sustained, you know, like 1962, playing field hockey. Ball hit her right in the head right there. She didn't, you know, had a headache for a while, but didn't take care of it. So when the icicle actually went through the eye, it's that weak spot in her skull. Right through. Field hockey, 62, Mrs. Mack. In this movie, I tried to have more jack-in-the-box type scares, which I fucking hate. But the audience wants them.
Glenn, would it be that loud in the chair or would it be quiet?
I was told Willard didn't have enough. Giving the people what they want.
This is the don't go in the attic scene.
And what is Rick and Morty?
Shut up. Have you asked Siegfried and Roy how they make a tiger disappear?
Things like gore and jack-in-the-box scares don't appeal to Glenn. As a film fan, he doesn't enjoy watching that. He finds that to be kind of too on the nose.
Black Christmas, the original, influenced Halloween, but then Halloween makes a lot of money, so the Hollywood guys go, boy, if you get more blood spilled, we make it more money, and then it just becomes watered down. So you got Raiders of the Lost Ark, but wow, if they have more action, we'd have more, you know, and you know, you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's got a lot of character stuff, there's a lot of good characters, a lot of good people running through it, but then it just becomes grosser and stupid action for the sake of action. It's just crap.
Sometimes just to get a movie out is a bigger thing, and certain themes fall away at the end. But because of the theme of family and saving the family, and the family is who you make it, I think that this theme is so permeated within each beat of the movie pretty well enough so that hopefully it won't get washed away.
Paramedics saved his sister, Agnes. she lost her right eye. Parents dead, brother a fucking psycho. They sent her away to an orphanage. Like, what chance did she ever have that a foster family would take her?
It wasn't a brother-sister thing when I first wrote it that came about in later drafts. It was just Billy. And then I think Kristen said Billy should be Agnes.
Man, you know, I don't want it to look me in the eye anymore. This one is my breath.
It was kind of psycho-ish that Agnes had taken on Billy's identity. And then I don't remember when you start plotting that out. It becomes a bunch of headaches. It was just impossible for that one character to do all this stuff. And I'm like, well, okay, then there's Billy and Agnes. These slasher horror movies always have one guy. Why would it be both of them? And then that fell into the family theme, and it just seemed like the right thing to do.
Oh, killer cameraman. It's
I think we started clowning around about Dean playing the killer. And that was probably when it was just Billy. And then when Agnes came in, you go, well, yeah, that remains interesting.
Everyone should be home for Christmas.
And then when I went back and looked at the script, at the description, I'm like, this has got to be Dean.
I saw them making a Star Wars when I was a wee lad, and I remember the camera assistant on the screen was carrying, the camera in the desert, and boom, it was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a filmmaker. I've been a focus puller or first assistant camera person for 12 years. And what a focus puller does essentially is you're the operator's assistant.
This is a hard thing. We're trying to get your eye to the tree just right and stuff, okay?
The major job is keeping the actors, of course, in focus. It can be a high-stress position.
Dean, do it quick there. There you go, right there.
It's a bit of pressure involved.
Now, don't forget, look very angry.
It seems that other departments can make mistakes here and there, and it's not a big deal. They can be easily recovered.
Okay, got it.
Just like,
But when you're a focus puller, you're on the spot all the time.
Mark?
No one cares if everything's going great, and if things go wrong, then all of a sudden the spotlight gets turned on.
more camera, please.
Action.
It's such a thankless job, too. You beat your guts out, and it's like this super hard shot, and everybody goes, hey, good shot, Mike. Nice work, Tim. Meanwhile, I just lost 4 years of my life on that shot.
It's too mechanical. No matter what movie you're on, it's still the same job. As opposed to being an operator where every film you're framing something different, or if you're a DP, you're lighting it differently for the mood of the story.
He's got to be low on red light, silhouette.
We're gonna let Dean hammer me.
That's what we're going to do.
Into the camera?
Oh, you got the job, right?
That's right. He's got all the motivation he needs.
I've had enough. My career as a focus puller it's near its end.
See what we get. Use the violence.
Use it. I guess I've been doing it for too long because I needed a change in my life.
Okay, let's go.
Action.
No, he did good. Yeah. Take a look at that.
I heard about Black Christmas last year, and at that time I didn't really know anything about it. It was like, oh, cool, Glenn's doing another movie. And then information started getting back to me that I would possibly be playing the part of Billy. At first I didn't think it was going to happen. I just didn't understand why. Why do you want me? Is it because of this? I'm not an actor, so I don't have any acting talent that has been out there before, so it's obviously about this.
I think he's been thrilled from... I think it's one of those things like when you're joking about it, there's probably a part in his head going, oh, I wish he was telling the truth. Or I wish this wasn't a joke. An interesting thing about casting Dean, no one ever said no. And I would go, hey, I got a camera operator up there. It's perfect. They said, oh, great. No one ever questioned it. And then, of course, once you meet him, they really didn't question it.
Dean was initially always going to be Billy, and then Glenn called me one day and he said, so, I just want to throw something by you, but I don't want you to panic. He says, what do you think if we cast Dean as Agnes?
It's a female, and it's the killer. So I jumped at it. It was such an opportunity.
So this is Agnes at her
Pretty
STS. He shaves before he leaves home, and then when he gets in makeup after his prosthetics, we shave him again.
We had face stretchers, eyelashes, the breasts, all the female things.
Cookie jar, movie stuff, these are things that we use for Dean playing Agnes. It's enhancement things. Just little. I think we're using a lot of those. The boxes are empty. When he looked at himself in the mirror, seeing himself be a little more feminine, just from a posture point of view, he really sort of thought, oh yeah, this is her. He was totally into it.
Oh, yeah.
It was all kind of challenging, all the physical acting. My first line, I'm a guy with a deep voice, so to play a girl, for weeks I was thinking, what voice am I going to use? And I was at home practicing voices.
Everyone should be home for Christmas.
They all sounded retarded. They sounded like forced acting almost. And after thinking about it, I realized that little Agnes had a deep husky voice.
Is that Santa's reindeer?
Mom had a husky voice.
There's nothing up there.
So I kind of tried to blend the two of them together.
One more sinister. Everyone should be home for Christmas.
Agnes was essentially given a lobotomy at an early age. She's still 8 years old, and the only thing she knows of love is murder.
Bless you.
That was one of the dead people's sins.
Well, the corners of my eyes are now on fire from the prosthetics, so I've taken to collecting the tears at the corner of my eyes with these handy-dandy Q-tips. Now, many people have threatened to stab me in the eye, which is an interesting concept. Yeah, it's good fun. And Glenn's taking pictures. Ready? After Buffy, I really, really wanted to stay away from the horror genre. I wanted to kind of branch out and see what else was out there. And I thought that the only way that I'll do a horror movie is if I get to die. Kelly? Kelly!
Go.
It was a lot of fun. I really was laughing every time, like the bat goes over my head. I don't know, I just had so much fun. I mean, not that I have a death wish or anything, but it's just something you don't really get to do every day. I just wanted to do that, I'm sorry.
Then let her go. Let her do it. Then you can just kind of guide that.
Because you're getting it too tight and it's just going like a taut thing. We get no facial.
So when that goes over your head,
My impulse maybe to scream, but I'm not going to put any pressure on the start. Like,
Right.
that here.
And then pressure.
Yeah.
Right. Kelly?
Oh, Jesus.
there's something really
Fucking scary about that.
He's a really, really sweet guy, and he's so not, like, violent. After every take, he was like, are you okay? Did I hurt you? I'm like, no, it's fine. Pull it tight. I was actually telling him, I was like, no, like, suffocate me more, and pull it back. I have some cool little black and blue battle scars from the banister, but they're shields of honor.
Okay,
Oh, God. Yeah. So I totally died in the horror movie. It's very exciting.
most actors want the opportunity to do things that they don't get to do. And so I thought she did a great job. And I assume with Lacey, she was, Party 5, and she's in Mean Girls, and Lacey's just so sweet, and she never gets the opportunity to.
It was really, really fun to do that. It was fun to be dirty and screaming and crying. We shot the scene on a set that was about maybe 3 feet high, and the whole crew was like huddled down. Everybody's on their knees underneath this porch. The killer's straddling me on my back,
Kurt Cowett, Lady Killer.
and then he jams this rubber rake into the back of my head.
Kurt, at some point, Glenn's gonna yell out dead, and then just kind of crawl off, make it look cool.
I have to say that I didn't really know what I was going to do until we were actually in the scene, because I didn't have any frame of reference, clearly. I mean, what happens in those kind of moments? All of a sudden I just felt this sense of panic, it just came out, and that was whatever came out. It was just a mess.
When you looked up and you actually had dirt between your teeth?
Yeah, I got all this dirt in my eyes, in my teeth, and then I'm crying in the scene, and whenever I cry, my nose starts running, so all of a sudden I have mud coming out of my nose. It was so glamorous.
Sexy.
I had never done a horror film before, and I always thought when we're about to be killed, is that actually kind of scary, having someone chase after you?
thing goes in the back of their head. There's no blood spray or anything like that.
It really wasn't, because it's so technical, you know. They were like, okay, right before he jams the rake into your head, you need to make sure your eyes catch the light.
Just go this way a bit. There you go.
So you're thinking about those things, in the meantime you're screaming and acting terrified.
Being around actors, you get to know how things are needed to be done in order to get the shot, because it is about the shot.
Great job. Grab it.
Thanks so much.
Start like that.
When I walked onto set, I wiped everybody out of my head, because that was worrying me for a while. I mean, I'm surrounded by people that I've worked with for a really long time.
It's kind of an odd thing for a focus puller to really want to do, but can't stop them.
And at the same time, the privilege of being on the set with Robert McLaughlin, a DP who I have heaps of respect for, an honor.
I actually saw Dean on the street and remembered him before I ever even knew he was a camera assistant. You know, Dean always turned heads. It was quite a vision with his long blonde, wavy hair and little dog, whatever kind of dog that is. That was during a period when I'd been working out of town a lot. I came back and hooked up with my longtime operator, Mike Wrench, and there he was working with this guy that I had seen walking down Granville Street. I think they were working on Dark Angel at the time, where the whole crew referred to them as the Freak Brothers.
I don't normally ask actors this, but full focus on the shot. Remote control, you can stand there, do the eyeline.
You know, Mike's got this sort of twisted world view and looks at the world a little bit off-kiltered. He was more interested in pushing the envelope from a framing standpoint, and he's also easily bored, so he's always looking for some new angle and a new approach.
Even electronics can't deal with that.
Having done the second unit on both FD1, FD3, and Willard with Glenn and Jim, they also knew where his sensibilities lie. But Mike, with his energy and his creativity, would be able to bring something unique visually to this movie.
I met the camera crew on Millennium, and we've sort of all worked together ever since.
I want to see the end of the spear.
The theme of family is not just on the screen, it's also behind the screen, it's behind the movie. This whole crew are people that we've worked with over and over again. Glenn and I call them our film family, you know, when they're not around to see us.
Witchmaster.
We're still talking about Rob and his wife Robin, who we're close to, and they met on Willard, and Jack and his wife met on Final Destination, and they've picked up family on the way doing films with us, and it's always an honor and a pleasure to work with them.
Action.
You have this sense of intimacy with crews because you're together for so long, and it's under stressful situations, and everybody helps each other, hopefully. I think on Final Destination 3, everybody was brought together after the Willard experience, and history repeated itself in terms of being a great experience. So when everybody came back to do Black Christmas, there was sort of that sense of family, that sense of community right away.
It's actually one of the few times in the history of cinema that we use a man's leg for a beautiful woman's leg.
Hard work. Greg, we need a leg double for Crystal. And I have the color of legs. And I have nice legs. For a woman.
He does, and he didn't have to shave, so that was a big plus. Okay, how's that? Good. Okay, cut. I'm thrilled to be part of history like that. I'd like to thank everyone for being here. For being part of it. Thank you.
I was in a survey event with Jim and Glenn. Glenn turned to me one day and he said, you know, all we really want to do is have a career in this business without being mean to anybody. And I thought, never heard that from a director before. It turns out he was telling the truth.
Everybody, Crystal's under some heavy-duty makeup. I don't know if she could see, be aware of that for her.
There is a comfort with this set, and by comfort I mean that in all positive terms.
Glenn Morgan just promised, he swore, there wasn't a Bible around, but he swore, and his wife is a witness, that in the next movie, it's going to be a comedy, and I get to wear a big ball gown, and I get to be pretty, and there's going to be hot guys. This doesn't have to happen to me anymore.
Gowns, comedies, not guys, but it's about a girl who's lost her eyes.
It's pretty disgusting. It's kind of actually making me lose my appetite.
You know, on set, it's not constantly taking everything seriously. You don't have to worry about messing up. You know, they're not going to yell at you or, you know, get upset.
So they got a...
I get a short friend, yeah.
Glenn's very understated. you know, it'll come to you and talk about a scene, and it can be in 5 words, and you know what you're supposed to do.
So you're pissed off about it.
And I like that. I like just being able to kind of run with it without being told 10 paragraphs about how to do the scene.
When I run, I have really long arms and they kind of go everywhere, so he would come up to me and do his... I have such a good imitation of him when you are trying to direct me. Like,
That'd be great. Anyway, as well, please.
arms. That's all this one.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I know. Just the...
2 minds is one, baby.
That's right.
You know, it's a low budget feature, so everybody contributed 150% of their efforts into the movie, and they did that, you know, for their own pride in what they do. But they did it for Glenn. He just brings that out in everybody. Or at least he did for me. I can't speak for everybody else, but I think I can for the camera department anyway.
So good on your end? Yeah, very good. Glenn, what I love about working with him is that he has a very, very clear idea of how he wants to shoot it, which is great. And I'm here to help him facilitate that and add to it any way that I can. But at the end of the day, visually, dramatically, in terms of how the stories are put on film, it's very much Glenn's movie.
Where's Agnes?
We did the beginning with Mom and Dad and Mom's boyfriend and young Billy right from the first 4 days. And what blew me away was Glenn's storyboards. They weren't brilliantly drawn by an artist, they were drawn by him. But 95% of his storyboards is what we shot. So I started this project where I started pulling frames out of dailies that corresponded to his storyboards, and I was just, oh, look at this, it's the same, it was his vision. He knew his story before he even rolled the camera, and I made him the book only for the appreciation of taking a chance on me to play the part of Agnes. I don't know what my performance was like. We'll have to see once it's cut together, but I do know this movie has recharged my interest in continuing to be a filmmaker.
When Glenn wrote the script for Black Christmas, he told me he wrote a part for me in it. You know, I'm a mom of 2 small kids, and so I really haven't been working as an actor. But if it was so that Glenn and I could work together as director and actor, it was something that we have always wanted to do. And I think that we both felt like you just never know if you're ever going to work again in this capacity, that the possibility may not always be there.
You know, if you go into that with anybody that you're close with, that you feel you should hit it off, whether it's working together on a movie or going on a date or playing on a sports team or something, often you're surprised that it doesn't work. And that it can create such tension that that friendship is ruined. And I had that in my head, like, oh, what if this doesn't work out, we don't get along? Haven't had that. She's constantly challenging, asking questions about what's going on in this scene. She's been a leader and great support to the younger actresses, I think especially Katie, who hasn't done physical stuff in action.
You have to break that wall. It was cool. I got to break down a wall and jump through it.
I'm going to hit here, here, so she has a place to tear. And then 3, 4, so I have a place to tear.
You know, your adrenaline just works itself up from screaming and banging and screaming and banging, and I have bruises on my hands from banging so hard. But it definitely pays off when you watch the work at the end and you're happy with it.
That's great.
It's not like you're proud of yourself, but some days you have days where you can't get there. And some days I feel like I'm doing the best I can do.
That looks awesome, man.
This keeps coming up over and over again, but I think that there is that thing of family, that you're not just losing some people, that the response is moving to the characters in the movie, that's not just people dying and people screaming and then on to the next scene. I mean, it's hard to say now whether they worked out or not. I think it's always like, you know, you hope that in the best case scenario that what you're trying to do translates on screen. I've been watching your interview with Glenn last night, so you talk about all these ideas, and then, you know, for whatever reason, by the time the movie comes out, a million different things have happened to it. It's been tested and, you know, whatever. But I think that those are the ideas that we're going for.
That is a show wrap on Katie here. And that is a wrap on us on the crew. Thank you very much.
And every time I leave here, I don't know if I'm coming back. Man, I never get to do this again, and not get to work with all these wonderful people and come back to this pretty great city.
Why do you worry about that?
How did this interview start off? This movie makes no money. I'm on film jail death row. I'm Ted Bundy.